Hi, everyone. Uh, so this is part two of living, surviving Oregon. Um, I went back and looked at the first video to see where I what I covered and what I left off with and where to pick up here. And I just apologize for that. There's some me getting off on um into some rabbit holes and stuff, but it is meant to be informative. I hope if you're planning on or you have an idea to move to Oregon, that the information you find in here will help you to make an informative decision. Of course, you're probably going to hear some of my opinions and just take it with a grain of salt. So to recap, I transferred over here or relocated over here in a previous industry that I was in. Let's just say it was repair. I have been here I had been doing that for almost 10 years. I have been living in Oregon for almost 3. I rent an apartment. I've owned houses in the past and found myself leaving Florida, which was where I was at before, for about, I think it was like 6 years or almost 6 years. Not wanting to own homes anymore, not wanting to spend almost my entire weekend or half of my weekend maintaining a yard and the upkeep, the cost. Of course, the trade-off, as most of you know, is your mortgage payments on a house are going to be a lot less, typically, if you have good credit, than rent. But you're tied to, rent leases are generally a year long, some a lot shorter, some they vary. Once you buy a house, you're tied to it unless you can unload it, but you're tied to it for 35 years, something like that. So it was just going to be me, and I didn't want that anymore. So I've been renting while I've been over here, and now, because of some life circumstances and some changes in employment and such, probably going to make another different transition into overlanding or buying an RV. And I don't know what it looks like, but this is the caveat that I wanted you all to know about, whoever comes across this. So it was such a deal where I was the short of it is I was working for a company. I'm going to take a dive back into the details of the financial side of being hurt on the job and what that entails in Oregon. So the short of it is I got hurt working for a company. There was an auto accident. Um, and I was injured. It wasn't my fault, and I was not ticketed. But we were definitely hit. And I say we because it was my first official day, if you will. And so I had an employee, a seasoned employee who had been there trying to show me the ropes. Um, so we backed out of a driveway and he told me it was clear and it wasn't. And some gal nailed us doing 55 down the highway. And I ended up having a bunch of trauma to my back, which I still have and I'm still dealing with. And it wasn't immediate. So that's an important detail, because it can happen like that, where you don't realize there is trauma until it shows up, and that can show up from, I believe the window is 3 to 10 days after the accident. So that's what happened to me, and I, not knowing what the best way to go about it was and handling it, I chose to go to a chiropractor. In hindsight, if that ever happened again, I would go find a DO first, which is a doctor of orthopedics, and start the route there. It's because it was on the job, it was workman's comp, a workman's compensation claim. And they are not here to help you. So they don't, well, let me rephrase that. They don't have your best interest or mine in mind. So the process of, feeling everything out and talking to whoever I needed to, it was asked, do you have a workers' compensation attorney? And why do you need a workers' compensation attorney? So I found out why, and you do. So here's getting down to the nitty gritty, or the nuts and bolts of why I'm making these videos. One, so I'm at a point in my life where I'm realizing, either or or you don't know. And unless somebody tells you, or you've been through it, or you come across it by, the interweb or whatever, you just don't know until you've experienced it. So why not put some information out there that will lend somebody some shortcuts, if you will, to avoid some pitfalls and wasting time, if you will, and other things, resources. So the meat of it is that because it's a workers' compensation claim, it's spelled out in the details that you are only allowed to receive a third of your income. So that being said, you're being monitored, and your income is being monitored, and you're asked every couple weeks when you get paid to report any earnings. Those earnings you don't get to keep on top of the 1/3. Those earnings are deducted from the 1/3, and you're only allowed to have the 1/3 of your pay. So you can imagine what that looks like if you've gotten used to, for a long period of time or extended period of time, you've got your budget and your bills and it's all worked out. And in my case, I haven't been released back to work because of all the pain and the discomfort that I've been in, but also haven't had my opportunity to have an appointment and sit down with a DO. And I'm still trying to maneuver that right now because, well, I don't want to say too much, but because there are details, but the details they're not specific to what I want, to why I'm trying to do the video and provide the information. But basically what happens if you're allotted so many visits to a chiropractor, and if they can't figure it out or help you within that time limit, what the workers' compensation insurance company does, which in this case is SAIF, SAIF, they will enroll you in, I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically a medical program that they have sat out, and it's distinguished by people that they have chosen in the profession to be able to see what's going on and help. But you have to have a DO to be able to, the DO is kind of like the general contractor who gets the other people involved if they have to, and then, says yay or nay and stuff like that. The conductor, if you will. So like, just to be transparent, I'm not like I don't live in an expensive apartment and in an expensive area, and I don't drive a brand new vehicle, and I don't have a whole bunch of toys, and so it's not like I'm trying to manage something that's unmanageable. Like, right, like I live within my means. And because I had a little bit of savings, I've got a little bit of a cushion to work with. But you imagine being, if your finances are such that you're making ends meet, and this happens, which is unfortunate for anybody, you're screwed. It's just a matter of time before you have to do something desperate, or you start losing vehicles and your place to live and stuff like that. So this has only been about a month and a half for me into it. It happened the first part of November, the accident did. But there's the 1/3 pay that sucks, and then there's the reporting your earnings. So even if I could find something, which I haven't been able to, that doesn't require any physical labor, you still have to report it, right? That's the right thing to do. And it's still, you're not going to make any more money than that 1/3 of your pay when you got hurt. So I realize that this doesn't happen to everybody, but it can happen to you. And there's things in the state of Oregon that don't exist in other states, especially that border it. This is a right to work state. Um, there's laws in place that govern me and restrict me from suing my employer if it was their fault. Doesn't matter. It's a no fault state. I can't sue them. I can go after a third party. But what I'm saying is, it's especially hard if you're a person with only one income. If you're a two income family and you've got that other one to piggyback on and be okay with, it's not usually how it is though, because things are so tight in our country with everything that the majority of people are struggling. So you've got, and I'm not laying this out for sympathy or anything, but just to recap, you've got an accident that happened on the job, and that person was me, who had been a good steward of his money, managing his money well, and not being in any trouble whatsoever. I have debt. I'll admit that I have debt. Now it's gotten worse because I'm using credit cards to pay rent so that I can free my money up to pay my other bills that I can't pay with credit cards. And I'm kind of, this whole time I'm monitoring a timeline because I haven't been able to get in to see this DO. And I don't know why. There's some confusion or something between his office and the chiropractor's office. But I'm going to tell you, in this next week, I'm going to clear it up. I'm going to find out what's going on and why I can't get in to see him. So, then now you've got to watch the timeline, because in the first part of February, my lease is up. So then I have to make a decision, because I can't stay here. I have to make a decision, and I wouldn't stay here because of a lot of other things, but that's neither here nor there, and nothing to do with the story. What do I do? How long is this gonna take? Do I need surgery on my back? Do I not need surgery on my back? Those are the only questions that the DO can answer. Am I going to live in my vehicle to be able to not be further in debt? Am I ultimately going to lose everything that I have to make a payment on? Because the way that the resources work here in Oregon, they're only available now I could be wrong because I haven't found any that are a different way. The only ones that are available to you are the ones after you're in trouble. So the ones that is after you've lost your domicile and you're homeless. Now they can help you. I can't apply for help with my energy bill because of the money that I made before November. It's too much to get any help. Even though, the help that I need is now, not, back then. I didn't have a problem back then paying my power bill. There's no food assistance. I had just had to pass on the insurance at work because I can't afford. There's no, I don't have. Where's the money going to come from? You take it out of my paycheck, I don't have anything left. So if you read this and or if you see this and you know any different about benefits or agencies that help in situations like this, but let me know. Hit me up, throw something in the comments or whatever, because the only thing I can find is assistance after the fact, when you've already lost something and now you need help. I do have some options to maybe to get loaned some more money, but I'm just gonna tell you, like, I want you to see, not, oh me, that's not what I want you to see. I want you to see, and I just ran across these events that happen to people that are out of their control, that take everything away from them. They steal and rob you from everything that you've been working for. And my plan and my goals now, because I was in an accident that wasn't my fault, are ruined. It has the potential to ruin my financial well-being, my credit. It sucks. And I just saw a video this morning of a guy who's like living in the back of his pickup. Not in a great situation. Not because he's living in the back of his pickup, but because he's living in the back of his pickup and not in a great situation. And he's struggling, because of some things that happened in his life. Some events that were out of his control. And I'm telling you, man, when somebody told me it's a rough world, it'll eat you up and spit you out, when I was a kid, I didn't know what they meant. But when you're caught in a situation like this, it's frustrating, and I go through this roller coaster of emotions almost every day. And now I'm feeling to the point where I am struggling to find joy, and just doing those status checks with yourself. Like, sometimes it's harder to get out of bed here lately, and so I'm realizing that, hey, you better do something, or you better pay attention to this, because I've dealt with seasonal depression in the past, and I've dealt with some situational depression, and my God is still good. I don't doubt that. Here's the deal, though. Like I said before, if it's unavoidable for someone by watching this video and they're like, they're on this great high and they're thinking about moving to Oregon, I would highly recommend that you visit and vacation here, because the local government doesn't have it figured out for the people who live here. Not only is the stuff that I talked about that's going on with me going on, but there's it's extremely expensive. In fact, 3 years ago it was number one in the nation. So number one as the most expensive place to live out of all the states in the United States. I would recommend that to you. You're going to do whatever you want. I'm just some guy on a video. And that's the attitude of most of the people who touch the burner twice after being burnt the first time. So it's just a forewarning. You could be caught in that situation, this situation that I'm in. And it's unfortunate, because I was doing fine, but now like I said before, there's a train wreck coming, and I don't have anything to stop it. I never been on the system in my life. I never used the system. I think I collected unemployment insurance one time, in the past when I was a lot younger, because the company that I worked for laid people off in the off season. So, like I said before on the first video, I'm gonna take you guys into some more about. Well, I'll keep you updated. Whoever's I don't expect any managing your expectation. I don't expect anybody to view this. It's not popular. It's not, shiny and made of gold. It is meant to be informative, and I hope that it is that, at least. There are some other topics that I want to get into to share information about, like Oregon Department of Employment. They're also helped by an agency called Workforce or WorkSource. Talk about them, give some information about them. Some industry stuff, from the industry I was in before. And of course, like I said, updates about. So if I haven't convinced you by the time that I'm done with these series of videos, and you come anyway, and you move here, it's on you, Jack. You can't say that nobody didn't warn you. So, and if you see this and you can pass it on. Don't get me wrong, the Pacific Northwest is beautiful. It's so beautiful here. I have a creek right out the window, no more than 50 feet from my back door. Everywhere you go, there's trees and hills and wildlife, and I'm an hour away from the beach at Lincoln City, and probably a great place to retire if you had the money. It's extremely expensive here, not just to live, but the housing costs and wow, it just is. So, and I knew that. I didn't know the extent of it, but I knew that before I came here. But it wasn't supposed to be a home, if you will. But I grew up in a state adjacent to it and visited a lot. So anyway, here I am back on one of those tangents, But I would definitely recommend that you maybe settle for a timeshare, or come visit, stay where you're at, but don't move here. Don't move unless you're wealthy, which I am not. Never have been, but what else? I think there was going to go somewhere else with it, but getting about 30 minutes into it, which is right about where the other one was, and my back's starting to hurt again, so sitting this way. So I can't remember if I said it, I do have a workers' compensation attorney. I'm done at the chiropractor, at least that chiropractor, because he's not, since they enrolled me in this medical, whatever they call it, I can't remember what they call it, but the chiropractor who I was seeing is not in that pool. He doesn't, it's like a in-network, out-network type of deal. So unless the DO makes me go back to him, he's done in the process. And I don't know what it looks like from here on out. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm not nervous and I'm not scared, because I am. I am. I don't want to, if I'm sleeping in my vehicle, it's because I want to and choose to, not because I have to. But that would change. If that's the route it goes, that would change everything. And then there's, I was going to say that then there's I have an attorney that's kind of waiting in limbo on the civil side of it to pursue, but waiting for word from, or a report from the DO. Because if it's not, it's kind of like one of the deals, like, why would you pay, $35 to sue somebody for a $10 ticket, concert ticket? Like, it just that doesn't make sense unless you're doing it to be vindictive and it's personal, because those are the only reasons that make sense. And the other person would just walk away from it. So there's that too. And once that starts up, it'll get even busier. But yeah, that's kind of where it's at, and that's the message so far. This is completely up to date. I have a decision to make about whether to turn over my rights to the workers' compensation insurance company, SAFE, to sign over my rights so that they can pursue a third party monetarily, or I can do it on my own. I think there's 3 choices. I can't remember what the other one was. But anything that I recover, of course, they will, they get their share, because it's not like it's not like the treatment to feel better in my back, or for me to feel better, is free. So they would receive anything that they were out for my care. And then you get the scraps. So that's how it works. I'm going to get off of here so I can get off of this stool and get in a different position. But I hope up to this point that the 2 videos are, that they marry with one another for information for anybody, that you consider this a warning or a forewarning about what lies here you could get into, and how it can just completely wreck your life. You're going along, doing all right, enjoying life, and it is what it is, right? So if you can help, I can't remember the guy's name, but it came across my YouTube feed this morning. It's a kid with hair and a mustache, and I think he's got a goatee, but he had a dog and his dog died, and anyway, he's living in the back of a Toyota pickup, and you could use some help. If you could subscribe to his channel, next time I get on, I'll try to write it down what his channel was. But if at the very least you could subscribe and give him a like, watch some of his videos. Mine's not set up for monetary gain. I don't know what it would take to do that. I don't know how to do it. I um I'm just asking for him because his situation is worse than mine, and I could be right there in a couple months. So anyway, it sucks that this is going on out there. If you know somebody, help them. You know, if you can help them, to avoid it or to get it back out of it or to make it a little bit easier on them. I had no idea that this would work out this way. It's a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to get shafted by the government, um, on a local or federal level. Um, if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have the money that they do by taxes and everything. But it's never been the other way around. So, anyway, another topic for another day. Like I said, hey, thanks for watching. If you came by, thanks for just giving a think to what I said, all I've said, and be good to each other out there. All right.